From requiring her staff to address her as the boss and firing an assistant for failing to provide her favorite snacks on set, let's dig into some extreme rules JLo demands from her staff or else. Jennifer Lopez has been accused of setting strict rules and making extreme demands from her staff, which has earned her a reputation as a certified diva. Some are so ridiculous, I had to triple check what I was reading to make sure I read it right. First, let's talk about her no eye contact rule. Lopez reportedly instructed staff at a luxury hotel and her own home not to make eye contact with her. An anonymous insider actually came out with a statement that read, "A friend of ours worked lighting backstage at one of her concerts. All of the workers were strictly instructed, do not look at Miss Lopez. There is to be no eye contact." Another person spoke out as well, saying, "I never heard anyone share a pleasant story about working with Jennifer Lopez." Another person spoke out as well, saying, "I never heard anyone share a pleasant story about working with Jennifer Lopez. One of my friends worked on set with her and the eye contact thing is true, lol." Another person said, "I knew people who worked at Mohegan Sun and they were instructed to totally avoid eye contact with J Diva. They still laugh about her to this day because far bigger celebs have appeared there that have been far more gracious and friendly." This, of course, has sparked outrage and has only further damaged her reputation. It's 2024, like in this intense social media era we're in, like it's so difficult to keep a positive image. So you would think she would work like a little harder to make sure allegations like this come with maybe 1 or 2 max stories from people claiming to have experienced this with her. I guess she's so unbothered to not tone down her diva-isms at all. JLo also is known to have strict rules around people talking directly to her. So it's bad enough that like no one can look her in the eye, but what does that matter if no one is allowed to even say hi, bye, or ask a simple question? Allegedly on a flight a while back, one flight attendant asked the star if she would like to drink something during her flight. JLo didn't even look at him. Instead, she turned to her personal assistant and said, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." Now, you'd think in the comfort of her own home, she would loosen up a little bit. Nope. She apparently once had her house renovated and had the workmen follow ridiculous rules. Reportedly, they couldn't approach her or even start a conversation with her. And yes, you guessed it, they were also forbidden to make eye contact. Man, JLo like really does not like people looking at her. It's kind of weird considering her whole life and career revolves around people watching her. Jennifer also is known to have huge lists of demands she sends to the hotels that she stays at. So she always demands to have like the entire floor booked out for her, roses on her bed, and a very specific brand of candles. I think I demanded that maybe like once for my birthday. I still didn't get it. Ouch. She even once requested a private beach for a hotel that simply did not have private beaches. So like, huh? And like, get this, she requests diamond encrusted headphones always, like in order to draw out sounds, which I totally get, but do the diamonds like help with that? Or I don't know. She also allegedly demands that her entire dressing room always be fully white, including the sofas, and her staff basically suffer the most though, because their list of demands are so insanely long they have to be on call like 24/7 to cater to her every need. She demands that her grapes be seedless, her M&Ms plain, and only wants chocolate chip cookies. Her hotel rooms must be cooled to like a precise 80 degrees with 2 oscillating fans, and she always needs a private jet, helicopter, and custom-made speedboats. JLo has even gone on the record saying, "I'm looking for a hard worker, a worker that isn't afraid to work 24 hours a day." Her staff typically have so many tasks that they don't even have time to eat, and it's even alleged that as punishment, JLo has made her staff do like really unnecessary errands such as like fetch KFC buckets. That's just like so strange to me. Like, okay, sure, I'll go get a 10-piece and a Pepsi, no problem. Allegedly, she even took back large tips given to her staff if she felt they didn't like comply with all her rules and demands. JLo has gone on record saying she worked harder than anyone she knows. And while that may be true, maybe, it like still doesn't give her the right she thinks she has to believe she's better than anyone else or that no one deserves respect. Now, I am like a serious candle lover, so I can really appreciate JLo having a favorite scent or like only wanting to buy from one specific place. Like me personally, I'm not that picky, but if I was a millionaire, maybe yeah, I'd buy out like every Bath and Body Works, crisp linen or sun-drenched linen candle that they have on their shelf because I love it that much. But here's something really interesting. If you actually Google Jennifer Lopez candles, you get a bunch of results for the singer's own range of candles, but they're not actually available to buy. And she demands that every single hotel she goes to must include lime blossom or Jo Malone grapefruit scented candles only. JLo's arrival basically like paralyzes the entire hotel staff with fear, because if her suite isn't awaiting her with lime blossom or grapefruit scented candles, she will quite literally lose her mind. And yeah, just one of those candles actually retails for about $500, so excuse me while I cry and pour. And this next one is a little bit more ridiculous. So aside from her demanding that her like $50,000 a night suite has soft baked chocolate chip cookies, sour cream and onion chips, fresh fruit platters, and like very specific scented candles, JLo also demands she has a bowl of Planters sunflower seeds. Now that sounds like simple enough, right? No. Because if even one of those seeds lacks a shell, she will have a total meltdown. Every single sunflower seed that's in her bowl has to have a shell. And so she may actually throw the bowl at the wall or at the person that dished it out if it doesn't have a shell. So that's pretty scary. Now, I'm not a super walker, runner, etc. Like I don't like to hike, none of that stuff. And I quite honestly will pay for convenience if I can. So yes, I use ride sharing apps quite frequently, but JLo takes convenience to like a next level. And considering JLo seems to have an abundance of energy and stamina, you see all her workout videos, you would think like a 3-block walk would be manageable for her. Apparently not. Because when JLo was staying in London, she made 7 limousines escort her for a 3-block journey to lunch at the Dorchester Hotel. Now, like, this is so absurd to me because, and I have so many questions, because not her claiming she loves working out and walking, and that's what makes her happy, but then refuses to walk like a few blocks. I just don't get it. This next staff demand is equally as alarming as the other ones I've discussed. Of course, you know that most celebrities associate the color white with success. So we've already talked about how JLo demands like an all-white dressing room with white couches and white candles to match, but it's also been reported that she forces her entire entourage to wear white as well. And no, not just like shoes and bow ties. I'm like talking head to toe, covered in white everything all the time. Like she apparently just sends out memos to her entire staff that simply says, wear all white. And that's not just for tours, it's like for everything. She even gave birth to her twins in an all white fur coat. JLo is apparently a huge fan of sports hydration drinks like Gatorade. What she doesn't like, however, though, is not having them served to her at like the precise temperature she dictates. It's been reported that Jennifer's hotel room bar requirements include a strict setup of regular Coke, Diet Coke, caffeine-free Coke, lemon wedges, honey, and Gatorade. But the Smart Water and Fruit Punch or Orange Gatorade must be available at both very specific room and refrigerated temperatures. Okay, I know I mentioned the whole like plain M&Ms thing earlier, but I want to circle back to this one only because on a second thought, it has dawned on me just how funny this really is. Like, do you guys remember the movie The Wedding Planner with Matthew McConaughey? It was honestly one of my favorite rom-coms. I've watched it too many times to count, but if you haven't watched it, there's basically one scene where Matthew tells JLo that like brown M&Ms are healthier than the other colors because chocolate is already brown, and she takes that and like runs with it because you'll see her picking out every other color of M&M at some point in the movie. Well, it's like she took that advice in real life and also ran with it, because she apparently freaks out on staff if the wrong kind of M&M is left out and it's not just the plain ones in a bowl. Like, yes, she takes her nutrition very seriously, we know that, but like who's gonna tell her that every M&M in a pack has the same nutritional value as the plain brown ones?
This Jet Company story is a wild ride. When I tell you my mouth was dropped the entire time reading these alleged posts, the tale comes from an ex-user by the name of Moira Webb, who claims they were working for a private jet company during the time of this story, and labeled JLo as a nightmare person. Moira went on to talk about a few experiences she had with the celebrity, and explains a rather devastating story that even happened to one of her colleagues. Apparently, Jennifer Lopez desperately needed a fruit platter for her catering order before she took off in the AM, and by despair, it wasn't a simple "could you please?" Oh no, it was a full-on shouting demand that she had that platter now. One of the line tech guys, who unluckily got the brunt of it, rushed over to a nearby grocery store to quickly grab the emergency platter, covered in jet fuel might I add, and having his ear to the walkie-talkie the entire time as he navigated between plane landing calls and wondering if strawberries or blueberries would suffice for Her Majesty. As luck would have it, she was already taken off by the time he was pulling into the lot. I'm all for using past experiences to express your artistry, especially when it comes to acting and songwriting, which Lopez did in Jenny from the Block. The song expresses about her time growing up, a time where she didn't have the luxurious items that she has now. Used to have a little, now I have a lot, is a line used within the chorus. Jennifer states that the neighborhood inspires her within her career, but how much of that is actually true? Allegedly, during an endorsement deal with the Italian manufacturing company Fiat, she was supposed to be driving around in one of the cars throughout her past location. However, a barbershop owner by the name of Eligio Cueto claims that Jenny from the Block was not in the car at all, or anywhere on the block for that matter. Jennifer had no comments on it, and I wonder why that was. She could have easily said that she was filming something else that day, or some other career opportunity conflicted with the company's shooting date, but decided to remain quiet. It looks a little suspicious to me, wondering if she intended to at all return to her old neighborhood. If not a conflict within her career, was it a possible conflict within the shoot and a potential issue of not wanting to cooperate? Majority of people love a good J-Lo performance, especially when it's planned at the World Music Awards. But of course, before the show even goes on, Lopez needs that wind down time and moments of preparation for really gearing herself up before such a big performance. If you had all the money in the world, what would you ask for to help you get ready for such a big gig? Well, if you're anything like Lopez, I would imagine your demands would be just as outrageous and over the top. One of the requests made by the celebrity was to be ferried on a speedboat from Cannes to Monaco. Of course, it can't be just any regular speedboat. It had to be, and I quote, a custom-fitted speedboat, complete with a love seat, faux leather seats, and a champagne fridge. Oh yes, and let's not forget her $3,000 diamond-decorated headphones. Her precious ears on such a loud boat needed to be not only protected, but bedazzled as well. That's just the beginning though, because by the time she finally got there were more insane requests being made, and I quote, her people requested that she have an entire floor of the hotel to herself to ensure she wasn't hassled. Privacy was a main concern, so she had a piece of beach roped off too. She spent the morning playing there with her kids, but she declined the offer of a butler, insisting she was happy to do things for herself, like throwing away your own piece of gum perhaps? Because surely that is something you would be happy to do for yourself, right? Sometimes these stories don't come straight from Jennifer's right-hand man or women, but rather everyday working folks like you and me. Some people who work in the retail and food industry have had the misfortune of assisting Lopez when it came to her everyday needs, with one of them involving a pair of shoes. This story allegedly happened at Foot Locker and was uploaded by a TikToker who has since removed the story online. Apparently the singer cussed her out because the store didn't carry the proper shoe size for her twin children. I'm sorry, since when was it the employee's fault for not magically having their shoe ready for you to go? Probably all that time getting what you want has finally gone to her head, expecting her needs and desires to start falling from the sky at this point. Another public story comes from a nail artist who had to place herself upside down because Jennifer wanted her toes done in bed and refused to roll over off her stomach. If this is true, come on girl, how entitled could you be? Couldn't you have at least elevated your feet for the poor woman? The nail artist was so upset that she even had the urge to yell, get up, and get the F out of here. Let's talk about some of the business aspects of it now, specifically related to people who worked side by side at the top with her. Plenty of her assistants have claimed that she had barely paid them, and having myself see the nickname Palo speculated around online, I shouldn't laugh, but it's quite clever and funny. This has happened before with her former manager Benny Medina, who had accused her of not only paying him improperly, but also he himself was being accused of violating California's Talent Agency Act. He was then fired by her in 2003, with Jennifer Lopez wanting full restrictions from the agency, and to top it off, claiming 10% interest from it. This whole thing was a mess, and Medina wasn't having it. He was going to be sure about having his name cleared from this. The accusations that I misappropriated money from Jennifer Lopez is both untrue and offensive. Jennifer Lopez, by making false allegations against me, is now trying to add me to the long list of people whom she has used and discarded after she took from them all she could get. I look forward to the opportunity to have the world come to know the real Jennifer Lopez. I will defend myself against these lies and will collect from her every dollar for which I am owed. Quoted from Medina himself. The weirdest thing about all of this is that in 2008, he began working with her again. I personally feel, after all that, there is a way too much water under that bridge to properly sustain itself. To say something so bold as the world will come to know the real J-Lo, to only then go back to working with her, something doesn't add up here. There was also a mess within her other agency, Endeavor, who apparently told her to fire Medina or leave the agency. industry, and being the diva that she is, she dropped both of them. I mean, yeah, the girl is big enough to do it, and any other agency, despite her reputation, will be falling over each other to be her next assistant in her career. We also can't forget about the time the reason why one of her longtime assistants, Jilly, left her was because she hadn't bothered to keep her boyfriend, Casper Smart, at the time in check when coming over to visit. He was allegedly rude and treated the staff terribly during his stay. I don't know about you, but I don't date anyone who's rude to waiters, retail workers, or anyone trying to make a decent living in the world. Smart demanded they called him Mr. Smart and would order Jilly to get him drinks. Get up and do it yourself, pal. And Lopez, actually, I'm not surprised you would date someone who's realistically right up your alley. The TikToker that goes by the name Red Peppa Flake claims that her own father used to work for the driving company that once chauffeured Lopez. The girl states that Lopez has a very strict rule when it comes to her drivers. They can't look her in the eye, or at all for that matter, cannot speak to her, and her luggage better not ever touch the ground she walked on. I didn't realize we were dealing with absolute royalty of the music industry here. Bow down to your almighty ice queen. You apparently can't even look in the rearview mirror without assuming you're trying to get a peek at her. Sorry Lopez, let me just stick my head out of the car window instead so that I don't tap grandpa accidentally while backing up.
While there aren't concrete, widely publicized incidents, several factors have contributed to this perception. Feuds with co-stars, rumors of tension between Lively and co-stars like Anna Kendrick during the filming of A Simple Favor have circulated.
You're not great. Blocked. Yeah.
Reports of separate press tours and discomfort during interviews further fuel these speculations.
Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
High maintenance reputation. Some accounts suggest Lively can be demanding and high maintenance on set, with specific requests and preferences that can disrupt the workflow. James Corden, the former host of The Late Late Show, has gained a reputation for being difficult to work with. Several accounts from directors, crew members, and restaurant staff have painted a picture of a demanding and sometimes abusive personality. Here are some key points that have contributed to this perception. Volatile temper. Corden has been accused of outbursts and aggressive behavior towards crew members, causing a tense and uncomfortable work environment. Devasc behavior. He has been described as demanding and high maintenance, with a tendency to micromanage and make unreasonable requests. Rude and disrespectful. Accounts of Corden being rude and disrespectful to waitstaff at restaurants have surfaced, further tarnishing his reputation. Dr. Phil's recent reports and allegations have painted a picture of a toxic work environment on the set of Dr. Phil. Former and current employees have come forward with claims of verbal abuse, intimidation, and racism. While Dr. Phil himself hasn't been directly accused of participating in this behavior, the show's executive producers and senior staff have been implicated. These allegations have raised serious concerns about the show's production practices and the well-being of its employees. It's important to note that these are serious allegations, and the full extent of the situation is still under investigation. Jennifer Lopez is known for her demanding nature and extensive list of requirements on set. She is often described as high maintenance, with a reputation for requiring specific accommodations and amenities to ensure her comfort and productivity. These demands can range from specific lighting and sound requirements to having a personal chef and stylist on set at all times. While some see her as a dedicated and meticulous professional, others view her demands as excessive and difficult to meet. Kanye West. Kanye West lost his lucrative partnership with Adidas in October 2022. The decision was made after West made a series of anti-Semitic remarks on social media. This led to widespread condemnation and pressure on Adidas to sever ties with the rapper. The termination of the Yeezy partnership resulted in significant financial losses for both West and Adidas. West lost a significant portion of his net worth, while Adidas faced challenges in dealing with unsold Yeezy inventory. Kanye West is known for his perfectionism, unpredictable nature, and high expectations, which can often make him a challenging collaborator. Some of the reasons why he is considered difficult to work with include unpredictable behavior. West's impulsive and often erratic behavior can disrupt production schedules and create uncertainty for those working with him. He has been known to make sudden changes to plans or demands, leading to stress and confusion. Christian Bale is renowned for his intense dedication to his craft, often employing method acting techniques that can push the boundaries of conventional on-set behavior. While this commitment has led to some of his most iconic performances, it has also earned him a reputation for being unpredictable and demanding. Bale is known to immerse himself completely in his roles, sometimes remaining in character even when the cameras aren't rolling. This can result in erratic behavior, outbursts, and a general intensity that can unsettle cast and crew members. For example, during the filming of American Psycho, Bale reportedly maintained a perpetually hostile demeanor, even off-camera, to stay in character as the disturbed Patrick Bateman. While this approach may yield powerful performances, it can create a challenging and sometimes tense working environment for those around him. Ellen DeGeneres. In 2020, multiple former employees of The Ellen DeGeneres Show came forward with allegations of a toxic work environment. They described a culture of fear, intimidation, and racism. While Ellen DeGeneres herself was not directly accused of all the misconduct, the allegations painted a picture of a show where her public persona of kindness and positivity did not align with the reality behind the scenes. Some of the specific allegations included toxic work environment. Employees described a fear of speaking up, feeling intimidated, and facing retaliation for voicing concerns. Racial discrimination. Employees of color reported experiencing microaggressions and a lack of opportunities for advancement. In recent years, Tyra Banks, the former host of America's Next Top Model, has faced increasing criticism from former contestants and crew members who have accused her of creating a toxic work environment. These allegations include claims of emotional manipulation, bullying, and body shaming. Several former models have spoken out about their experiences on the show, describing a culture of fear and intimidation. They allege that Banks would often publicly humiliate and criticize contestants, sometimes focusing on their physical appearance or personal insecurities. Additionally, some crew members have reported experiencing similar treatment, with Banks demanding long hours and creating a stressful work environment. While Banks has addressed some of these criticisms, acknowledging that some past moments on the show were really off choices, many viewers and former participants continue to express concerns about her behavior and the impact it had on the contestants and crew members. Edward Norton is renowned for his meticulous approach to acting, often delving deep into his roles and becoming highly invested in the creative process. While this dedication can lead to powerful performances, it has also earned him a reputation for being a demanding and difficult collaborator. Norton is known for his perfectionism, which can manifest in constant rewrites of scripts, extensive input on set design, and a desire for complete creative control. This can sometimes lead to clashes with directors and producers who may have different visions for the project. One notable example of Norton's perfectionism is his involvement in the 2008 film The Incredible Hulk. It was reported that he made significant changes to the script, which led to tensions with the director Louis Leterrier. This incident, along with other instances of creative differences, has contributed to Norton's reputation as a challenging actor to work with. While Kim Kardashian is known for her glamorous image and business acumen, there have been some reports suggesting she can be difficult to work with. Some of the reasons cited include high maintenance. She is often described as high maintenance, with specific demands and preferences that can disrupt the workflow. Perfectionism. Her pursuit of perfection can lead to excessive revisions and a demanding work environment. Controlling nature. Some reports suggest she can be controlling and micromanaging, which can frustrate and alienate collaborators. Britney Spears has had a tumultuous career, marked by periods of personal turmoil and public scrutiny. Britney Spears struggles with public scrutiny and media pressure. The intense media scrutiny and constant public attention can be stressful and overwhelming, potentially affecting her ability to focus on work. Control issues and legal battles. Her conservatorship battle and subsequent legal issues have undoubtedly added complexity to her professional life, impacting her ability to make decisions and control her career.
Now, starting off, she is super controlling of her image, and her staff must make sure that she appears the way she wants to be portrayed at all times. Now, it's said that Ariana reportedly approves all fan photos and that her staff must enforce this rule. But in 2014, when a fan won a contest to meet Ariana through MTV, things didn't go as they expected. Now, the father of the contest winners, Kelly, and her sister Jen, spoke out about their experience on a blog, and it was not flattering. Now, they had met Ariana once in 2011, but things had changed. The dad wrote of the experience. Jen, whom Ari had been so kind to in 2011, walked up and said, "Ari, here's a photo we took together in Vegas at the Titanic." Miss Grande glanced at the photo on Jen's phone and said, "Let's redo that picture." She said nothing else, so Jen retook the photo. Then Jen took out one of the drawings that won the contest for her. Kelly snapped a photo of her smiling little sister, giving Ariana the drawing. "Delete those pictures, please," was all Ariana said. "Can I just keep the one of my sister showing you the drawing?" asked Kel, and Ariana turned to her security and ordered, "Make sure she deleted those." Then Ariana Grande walked away from her prize-winning fans without even saying goodbye. The father went on to say that the MTV reps on scene seemed shocked by this, but did not know what to do. Now, that's such an unfortunate thing, but her wanting photos deleted may have to do with the fact that she only wants the left side of her face on camera. Yep, it seems like Ariana was a diva when it came to being on camera. Back in 2014, some of her photo shoots in Australia had been cancelled. Why? Well, it's alleged that Ariana's team had told photographer Chris Palvich to only shoot from the singer's left side and to use no natural light. But this wasn't what Chris envisioned, so Ariana apparently cancelled the shoot due to this. Now, according to a source, Ariana left the photo shoot after only a few minutes, claiming her outfit didn't photograph well in the images. Now, Ariana had also allegedly been checking each frame after it was taken and asking for shots she wasn't pleased with to be deleted. Now, Ariana denied this story during an interview in Australia, where she said it was just a photographer or something who got mad at me because I left to change my outfit mid-photo shoot because I didn't like my top. I was like, "Oh, I'll be right back," and then I came back and he had left. And then he came out and said all these ridiculous, untrue things about me, she continued. I was like, "That's not real, that's nonsense." And she then added, "My fans know who I am, my family knows who I am, my friends know who I am, and that's all that matters." But the angle of only getting her left side has been brought up multiple times, as also in 2014, TV personality and reporter Juliana Rancic claimed that Ariana was difficult to work with as she did an interview with her at the American Music Awards. She said that Ariana's team made her switch sides so Ariana could be filmed from her left side. She said, "She came up on the platform and normally I stand on this side, her left side to the camera. I had to fight 13 years to get this side to the camera, it's my good side. But I fought 13 years for this, okay? Little Ariana comes over, I feel like bing, elbow in my side, and I'm like, what's going on? And they push me to the other side," she said. "I feel like where there is smoke, there is fire," alleging that Ariana's team bullied and elbowed her to change positions. "It was like you either get on the other side or we don't do an interview." Now, it seems like Ariana is really enforcing this rule. Now, Ariana Grande demands that her staff make sure she gets special treatment wherever she goes. Now, this is extremely prevalent when she goes to amusement parks. TikTok users who have previously worked at theme parks or know someone who did have posted story times of their experiences with the star, and they are not good. I know we're all livid with Ariana Grande because of this Ethan Slater nonsense, but just know that you and I or anyone else will never dislike her as much as the Disney guest relation cast members, said a woman named Teresa Jack on TikTok. If you happen to know any plaids, aka the people who escort the celebrities, they will tell you that Ariana Grande is the rudest person that has ever graced the parks, Teresa shares. "I can't tell you how many of them I've met that will not guide her around the parks anymore." Now, according to Teresa, Ariana not only cuts the line to rides, but also shuts down the entire ride so she could have the building and the ride all to herself. Apparently, these shutdowns can take up to hours, and guests who are already waiting in line are kicked off. That's not normal celebrity behavior, Teresa says. And hey, I agree. Now, another worker, this time at Universal Studios, shared her experience with the star as well. A girl named Riley previously worked at Universal as a scare actor during the Halloween Horror Nights. One year, while she was waiting for guests where the line was over an hour long and it was a sold-out event, people stopped coming in. Then, all of a sudden, a group of bodyguards, Ariana Grande, and her dog came through, Riley revealed in a video. Ariana was being super rude to the team members, she was demanding free food, food. She was pissed off because they'd have to clear the house, then let her walk through, and she was being impatient because there had to be time to clear the guests out of the park so she could have her own experience going into the houses. Now, another employee who worked at Halloween Horror Nights shared a similar experience, saying, "My friend worked Horror Nights and she came through touching stuff, and my friend told her to stop and she told her, 'Do you know who I am?'" One TikTok user commented. "I heard that one house refused her because of how long the line was and she got so angry," another user shared. Yeah, no, that is just messed up. Then there are certain topics that are off limits when it comes to Ariana, and one is Mariah Carey. While Ariana has said in the past that she takes it as a huge compliment being compared to Mariah, interviewers are instructed to not bring her up. Now, other topics off the table include her past relationships, her grandfather who passed away in 2014, or her time on Sam and Cat, and specifically about her former co-star Jeanette McCurdy. Now, Ariana also really cares about her pets, and it's very important that her staff take care of them if she's unable to. Now, she has 9 dogs, and at one point she had a pig. Now, she loves them so much that she flies them with her on her private jet. In 2019, Ariana had been visiting Scotland for work and allegedly requested her dogs to be flown there as well. The dogs, who had been assigned their own room at the 2-bedroom apartment, were well looked after by a minder during their stay, a source told The Sun. As well as being offered personalized bone-shaped dog biscuits and furry bedding, they even got given tartan dog collars. Now, Ariana also makes sure that she has her own huge room when she's on set or backstage for events. While working on Nickelodeon's Victorious, she allegedly had the 2nd largest dressing room after the main character, played by the actress Victoria Justice. But now that Ariana is a huge star, she demands the largest dressing room possible. Now, staff allegedly enter the room beforehand to make sure everything's perfect and stock it with food and drinks that she requires. Now, reportedly in 2014, Ariana turned a conference room into a dressing room for herself and demanded the hotel be cleared out before her arrival. According to an insider source, before she got here, she made security clear out the entire lobby. Even if you were a guest at the hotel, you had to clear out. No one could sit in the lobby, but she came in the back. She took up a unisex bathroom and put 2 bodyguards outside. Basically, 3,000 square feet of hotel space was hers, and you had to show your hotel key to get anywhere. Yeah, now that is just insane behavior and crazy demands.
Staff members are reportedly forbidden from making direct eye contact with Beyonce or Jay-Z. It was reported that when Beyonce was in Jamaica alongside her husband for a video shoot, the Jamaican staff that were hired for the shoot were deeply dismayed when they were instructed by Beyonce's management team that the rules included not looking at Beyonce. The hired staff were happy for the opportunity, but many said upon leaving the shoot, they were no longer fans of the singer. I'm not surprised. Next up, specific food requests. Beyonce allegedly demands a specific type of water with precisely 7.4 pH levels, and it was reported that she needed $900 worth of titanium drinking straws for it, and it had to be served at exactly 21 degrees. There is also a rule that Beyonce's chicken must be seasoned with garlic powder or she just won't eat it. She will only eat it if it's baked and seasoned with garlic powder, a little bit of salt, black pepper, and cayenne pepper. Now, the trick, apparently, is to heavily season her chicken and only give her the breast, legs, and wings. Now, on the side of her plate, staff members also have to include some broccoli, spinach, and green beans. So this girl really loves her greens. Aside from her pH water, she will also only drink Pepsi products, which is probably why we've only seen her do Pepsi commercials. Staff also have to remember to make sure she has lemon wedges and hot tea. As long as the staff doesn't forget to chill half her water bottles, everything should be fine. Confidentiality agreements. This shouldn't really be a surprise, as most celebrities will have this in place, but Beyonce and Jay-Z tell all their staff that they must be able to, quote unquote, keep a secret. All staff are required to sign NDAs to maintain the couple's privacy, and not following that rule could actually have very serious consequences. The staff are also not allowed to complain about their role or their personal life in any shape, way, or form. Now, Now, Jay-Z has told employees and staff that while they are on the job, there is not to be any talk about their personal lives. While working, everything should remain strictly business. It was reported that he even said, "There's too much work to focus on and you'll never get anywhere by complaining." They have both made it very clear that they will cut you off immediately, staff, friend, or even family. Another strict rule in place for their staff is that staff members are not allowed to work with Kimye, being Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Now, a few years ago, drama ensued between Jay-Z and Kanye. The wives seem to somehow get in the mix too. Now, both rappers have been known to go back and forth at times, but up to this point, they had always mended their relationship. That is not exactly what happened here though. Jay-Z sees Kanye West as a younger brother, but once he crossed the line and brought Bey into it, Jay was not having it. Kanye got on stage during one of his performances and basically made a shout out to Jay-Z saying he should call him after all this time. Then he went further by calling out Beyonce for not performing beside him at the 2016 MTV Video Music Awards. Since then, the couple has had nothing to do with Kanye West and his wife, Kim Kardashian, well, ex-wife. Although Beyonce and Kim have never been friends, throughout the years, they've both been accused by the media of throwing shade at each other. When Kanye proposed to Kim Kardashian, the Carter family were nowhere in sight. Slowly, they began to separate themselves from Kimye, and they expect staff to do the same as well. Sometimes celebrity staff will work with multiple celebrities, and Beyonce and Jay-Z don't mind as long as it's not Kim and Kanye, or any other celebrities they may feud with. Another strict rule in place is that all staff must read and sign the ultimate nanny rulebook for their children. Beyonce has a specific rulebook that she makes each nanny read. By the way, there are 6 nannies for the twins and 2 for Blue when needed. This rulebook includes how she wants her children to be taken care of. Beyonce, of course, wrote the rulebook herself. Why would she follow anyone else's advice, right? A few of the rules and duties of the nannies include mowing their lawn, putting their purses on the floor, not countertops, which honestly would be a deal breaker for me because if you know anything about superstitions, you know that is like really bad luck. And also they have to take out the trash. Now, for the twins, each nanny works in a span of 8-hour shifts around the clock. When Blue Ivy was younger, she required 3 nannies as well, but now that she's older, they've employed 2 instead of 3. And to branch off of this, Blue Ivy must have 3 bodyguards for school, no questions asked. So Blue Ivy's entourage includes 2 drivers and 3 bodyguards. And when it comes to the twins, they are not allowed to nap to music. Beyonce feels the music, even if played quietly, could distract their sleep and cause them to have bad sleeping patterns. And speaking of nannies, another strict rule is the bilingual rule. All nannies have to be bilingual, preferably in French. Now, according to a source who's in with the Carter family, Beyonce and Jay have said that the nannies they employ have to be happy to travel the world with the Carters. I am mad at that, to be honest. I mean, who would be, right? And the other main stipulation, though, is that they have to be bilingual. This source said they want a French speaker for a number of reasons. The family have a real connection with France, and Beyonce's nephew Jules is a French speaker because his dad is French. Now, on Larry King Live back in 2007, before Blue Ivy was born, Beyonce was asked if she spoke another language since she recorded some songs in Spanish. Beyonce said, "I sure don't. I don't speak French either. I learned it phonetically, and we took one sentence at a time. I just spoke the lyrics over and over and over again and then put the melody to it." Beyonce made it clear that she wants Blue, Rumi, and Sir to excel in life, so being bilingual is one of the dreams she has for all of her children. Now, another big rule is absolutely no photography. Staff members are not allowed to take photos of Beyonce, Jay-Z, or their children, whether they're at home or not. Beyonce has also restricted photography at her concerts and on her tours, including banning professional photographers and limiting the photos media outlets can actually use. Back in 2013, Beyonce banned professional photographers from her Mrs. Carter Show World Tour. Instead, her management company provided media outlets with a limited number of pre-approved photos taken by her tour photographer. Now, this led to news outlets relying on amateur and paparazzi photos, which were often taken from a distance and in very poor lighting. Some photographers have gone on the record to say that Beyonce's no photo policy is threatening the First Amendment, and the National Press Photographers Association had a problem with that, saying it seems these days everyone is trying to control their own content, eventually, if you have all the artists doing this, everything is going to be more controlled and less free. The whole idea of photography is seeing is supposed to be believing. Of course, Beyonce nor any of her representatives responded when asked questions about the policy, and it's still unclear whether or not news outlets actually have to pay to use the 4 to 10 photos available after each of her shows. But let it be made very clear, not one of those photos of Beyonce will show even one hair out of place or even a blink in her eye, okay? So moving on, we have the workout rule. Now, Beyonce's staff are absolutely not allowed to bother her while she's working on her body. Beyonce's fitness routine was very demanding after she had the twins. As soon as her body healed up, it was off to the gym, sometimes 3 times a day. Now, a source told E! News that she did SoulCycle several times a week as soon as she got the clearance after her C-section. Now, she also worked out with a trainer at home doing cardio, intervals, and weights. Now, this source actually went on to explain all of her meals and diet were overseen by a private chef on staff who travels with them and prepares everything specifically for her. While Beyonce is busy getting her body back, her nannies are only allowed to bother her if it's an absolute emergency. If they bother her or disrupt her workout session, consequences could include a fine or worse, like dismissal. And to piggyback off of that last one, another strict rule is that all staff or their children must stay in shape since their kids have demanding schedules. Now, this one isn't very surprising, and this isn't a, discriminatory thing or anything like that. It's just a preference Beyonce has, knowing that the women pushing through crowds with her will have to be able to keep up. It's very common for nannies to go MIA due to health issues, and that is something Beyonce just can't have happen. It takes so much time to find, process, and acclimate a new hire, so it's best that each caretaker is in its prime or in their prime health. Now, though Beyonce has 6 nannies looking after Rumi and Sir, they are with her all day, so while she's busy, she can still be a part of what's happening. Anyone who isn't in tip-top shape or excellent health won't even be considered for the job. I mean, honestly, each nanny gets paid like a minimum of $100,000 a year. I would stay in shape for that kind of money too, am I right? On the topic of money, it's no secret the Carters have a lot in the bank, and while they pay their nannies and staff pretty well, it is reported, however, that bonus money must be earned. Jay-Z gave all of his employees $50,000 right before Christmas one year. But that's not all. Jay-Z also gave them Christmas gifts as well. Combined, it's even reported that throughout the year of 2013, the couple gave staff up to $4.6 million in bonus money and gifts. If they live the lavish life, of course, maybe they want their staff to be a part of that too. Now, Beyonce and Jay-Z have 80 employees across the board, so that's a lot of staff, so of course a lot of money too. But employees are, however, expected to follow every single one of the rules, no matter how ridiculous they may seem. If even one is not followed, you can expect to not get a bonus. You may not get canned or fired for it, but you won't get something extra around Christmas time or at the end of summer. Now, would you follow these extreme demands, or would you look for employment elsewhere? Let me know your thoughts.
I respect those who like to keep their personal lives, well, personal. There are some intimate things that people like to keep close to the heart. Like Michael Jackson, for example. To me, this was outrageous. Asking such a personal question of, has he ever been intimate with someone on live television? We can clearly see in the video as well, as soon as she asks that question, he becomes extremely uncomfortable by it, taking in a sharp breath from being caught off guard like that. Like most people, you'd see that reaction and you would move on from the topic. But not Oprah, apparently. She eggs him on saying, I just wanna know, I wanna know. Why? Why do you want to know about this man's personal life so badly? What really aggravates me about this is that throughout the beginning of the clip, you can see what she's hinting at, and then finally hits Michael with a blow by saying this sentence specifically as, I'm gonna ask you this, and it's embarrassing for me to ask you this, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. So you stopped yourself at the beginning, we can see the wheels turning in your head, and yet you proceeded to continue onwards with it. Michael was very respectful with the situation, saying that he was a gentleman, explaining that sure, he may be old-fashioned, but to him it's something that's kept private. After clearly avoiding the question multiple times, she says in this disappointing tone, so you're not gonna answer it. Do you usually ask all the celebrities who come onto your show about their personal lives like that? Continuing to go down this Oprah rabbit hole, I've noticed there have been patterns where it doesn't seem like Oprah appreciates being contradicted or isn't able to grab what she really wants out of people from their interviews. From watching these interviews thus far, she cleverly does this in a way where she doesn't outright say, no, you need to be saying this. But you can tell in her body language and in the tone of her voice that she is trying to persuade you somewhere else. I love That's So Raven growing up, and she had done an interview as well with Oprah. Raven clearly shows that she doesn't want anything to do with labels in terms of preference when it comes to dating and even identity when she claims herself as only American and not African American. Oprah then jokingly goes, "Oh girl, don't set up the Twitter on fire," then proceeds to go, stop the tape right now," as they're both laughing. No harm there, right? Is Oprah agreeing with her maybe? The interview takes a bit of a turn, however, as once again, Oprah is egging her on a little bit here, going, "You know you're gonna get a lot of flack by saying you're not African American." To which Raven reiterates she doesn't label herself as such. Watching Oprah's body language here is interesting, as she's constantly shifting around a little uncomfortably now that this topic is out there. It seems her interest has peaked. Her tone changes a little as well, not so much demanding her, but with a very stern tone she goes, "So I want you to really say what you really mean by that." It's very subtle, but specifically with the emphasis on mean, made me revisit the interview from a different perspective. Raven says what she means, so I'm personally not understanding what Oprah here isn't understanding. This last story is a bit of a long one, but I promise you it's worth it. Those of you who are artist performers watching this right now, please raise your hand if you've ever been told the phrase, "You'll be paid in exposure." Because I sure have, and exposure doesn't buy me eggs and milk at the grocery store. That's exactly what happened with this performer, Revolva, who's a multidisciplinary artist that specializes in hula hooping, circus acts, as well as her own writer and character performer. Revolva titles the story An Open Letter to Oprah. The Life You Want, Asked Me to Work for Free. The title alone already hooked me, as I was shocked to see that people who would be performing alongside the Oprah were getting absolutely nada from it. Revolva starts her letter by explaining the sheer excitement she was experiencing at how her life was about to change for the better. "I've always wanted to hear, 'Welcome Revolva,' as I cartwheeled on stage." And the majority of us have experienced that sort of ambition when brought into a new performing opportunities that may boost your career. The woman was so ready to have her story told, to do the things she loved to do and finally get paid for it. Then I tell you my story. The profundity of all my lingering student loan debt causing you to weep and then declare to America that I am your new BFF. Revolva goes on to explaining that she had been within this industry for 12 years, wanting to make even the slightest splash out there, wanting to break free from the toxic culture of performance industry and showcase herself from what feeds her soul. As Revolva was peaking with ecstasy and euphoria, the poor woman was immediately shot down as the conversation with Oprah's producer continued. They stated, "Okay, just to be clear, you'd be on the stage outside of the event. And just to be clear, Oprah will not be on that stage. Oh, and just to be clear, this isn't a paid gig." This feels like an entirely different set overall. If these local performers are going to be on a completely separate stage and Oprah is on the other one, who's going to be in the audience? Also, might I add, Revolva states that tickets for the show ranged from $99 to $999. You're one of the biggest influencers in the world, to which I'm sure you'd be having quite the audience turn up. Why aren't these performers getting paid? I don't watch Oprah, but I'm also well aware of the classic video of "Look under your chair for a gift or surprise." But I guess it's easier to do that in a smaller audience where giving out those gifts would be like buying a cup of coffee for you. Revolva even comments, featuring trailblazers who never have to dig through every compartment in their car for enough change to cross the Bay Bridge would be ringing up the local performers asking them to do their job for no pay. But hey, apparently she would receive a free ticket to the performance as well. Sorry, but an Oprah Winfrey ticket just doesn't cut out for apartment rent. Revolva would have understood the situation better if she was the one to call and ask about performing, but she wasn't. Oprah Winfrey's producer called her, thinking they would just bend over backwards for them. Everyone else was apparently getting paid though, high-end performers and all the tech and sound crew to make sure you look and sound good, right? I feel for this creator deeply as someone who used to fall prey into performing for free. However, Revolva stood her ground and actually stated she wanted some sort of pay before continuing. This was a prior agreement of having travel costs reimbursed, but that was it. And when Revolva took her right to ask for a proper payment, she was told that the acts were now fully booked and would be reached out in the future for any other opportunities. Revolva took this experience as a spiritual learning lesson, but was still proud of herself for sticking true to her art and values. Sometimes you really got to look into the hidden details of it when it comes to brain flipping tactics that some people people will do, especially when it comes to live television.
Now starting off, we have our diva queen J-Lo. Now J-Lo has the craziest demands when she performs, and I honestly can't believe that people still hire her. In January of 2016, she began her residency in Las Vegas with her concert series All I Have. She signed a 3-year contract to perform roughly 120 shows a year at Planet Hollywood's Access Theater. Now J-Lo made $350,000 for each show, and she performed 3 times a week. Now that is a ton of money. However, this salary didn't seem to be enough for the diva, as she wanted more. Eventually, she signed, and in 3 years from 2016 to 2018, her residency brought in over $100 million. Now during its run, the All I Have residency was a tourist favorite. But besides wanting more money, she also made other demands in regards to her contract. She requested 3 penthouse suites all next to each other, a playground in her suite for her kids, and she also demanded a personal laundry service and for each room to have its own on-call butler wearing all white. Now the housekeeping staff had to sign full disclosure agreements to ensure that they didn't spill any of her secrets. Now she requested brand new toilets for the backstage area and an all-white dressing room. Yep, an all-white dressing room. Now, when she appeared on the British television show Top of the Pops in the late 90s, it was said that she refused to perform unless her dressing room was completely redecorated. It's alleged that J-Lo demanded that everything had to be white or she wouldn't go on stage. Now, this seems to be a theme because it was reported that while attending a recording session for the African AIDS charity single What's Going On in 2002, she submitted her standard to her writer, which demanded a 40-foot trailer furnished all in white from top to bottom. Flowers, tablecloths, drapery, couches, candles, everything. Love don't cost a thing, says Gary Sussman at Entertainment Weekly, but being a diva sure can be expensive. And you know what? He's right. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a huge actor, but it seems like he really needed to be persuaded to return to Terminator 3. Now, in order for him to do the film, the filmmakers had to agree to a contract that contained some pretty wild stipulations. First of all, Arnold would receive a $29.25 million pay-or-play fee, which essentially meant that the actor would get paid even if the film never got made. And let me just say, that's such a specific number, which is just so strange to me. Now, he would also be given an additional $1.6 million for every day of shooting that ran over the planned 19-week schedule. Added to the contract was his perk package, which included certain flamboyant conditions such as $1.5 million for private jets, a special trailer which was just a gym, 24/7 limousines, personal bodyguards, and a 3-bedroom suite on location. Now, they agreed, and in the end, the film made $43.4 million, so I guess complying with the demands was actually a good thing. While Ben Affleck was filming the film Gone Girl, he got into an argument with director David Fincher over a hat. Yes, you heard that right, a hat. Now, Ben is into his sports big time and he loves the Red Sox. Now, due to this, he got into a dispute with the director of Gone Girl, which paused production. When David Fincher asked him to wear a Yankees cap while evading recognition in a scene, it was simply something Ben couldn't do. Ben spoke about this saying, "I said, David, I love you, I'd do anything for you, but I will not wear a Yankees hat. I can't wear it because it's going to become a thing, David. I will never hear the end of it, I can't do it, and I couldn't put it on my head," Ben said. Now, you'd think this would be a pretty easy thing to resolve, but apparently not. The two butted heads for 4 whole days before they could reach a compromise, when they finally agreed that a Mets cap would suffice. Now, on the argument, David had this to say: "I really wanted it to be a Yankees cap, but being from Boston and not being very professional as an actor, Ben refused to wear a Yankees cap. I mean, it did not come to blows, but we had to shut down production for 4 days. Yeah, that is just insane and so unprofessional, and personally, I wouldn't want Ben on my set after that. Now, when the show New Girl came out, starring Zooey Deschanel, it was a massive hit, and the artist Prince was a fan. Now, he enjoyed the show so much that he reached out to request a cameo. Well, this came a reality during season 3, but there was a catch: no Kardashians. This became a bit tricky for the production team because they'd actually already invited 2 members of the Kardashian family to come and film scenes for the same episode as attendees of Prince's party. Lamorne Morris, an actor on the show, spoke of the incident, recalling Prince actually seeing the 2 Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian and Kris Jenner. Prince shows up early, he's sitting in Video Village and he's watching the screen and he goes, "What are the Kardashians doing here?" They said, "Well, they're in the show, they've been invited to a Prince party." And he goes, "They would never be invited to a Prince party." So they cut him from the episode. I guess Prince gets what he wants, and that's no Kardashians. But I mean, I can't blame him though, because on Prince's Welcome to tour, he invited Kim Kardashian on stage with him. Now he then immediately began dancing around her, and for those of you who don't know, Kim hates dancing, so why she agreed to go up on stage, I don't know. She then laughed nervously while standing in place and clapping for him, before Prince instructed her to get off my stage. Now Kim later discussed the incident during an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, where she told Ryan Seacrest, "I was so nervous, I was just like laughing. To my defense, like, didn't Prince watch Dancing with the Stars? Like, I'm not a good dancer." Marlin Brando is an amazing actor who was held in high regard, so he essentially was able to get away with whatever he wanted to on set. This was the truth when it came to the film The Island of Dr. Moreau. Brando's behavior added a lot of chaos to the set, as he would mostly just stay in his trailer eating copious amounts of pizza and not opening the door to anyone. While he did come out and shoot some scenes, he insisted doing things his way, which included him wearing all white face paint, wearing a dress, and having an ice bucket strapped to the top of his head. He also got very attached to actor Nelson De La Rosa, who was one of the shortest men of the last 2 centuries, measuring under 28 inches tall. Speaking about Marlin just doing whatever he wanted, director John Frankenheimer said, "Brando absolutely fell in love with this guy. He put him on his chest in the hammock and sang Frog went according to him. There was 90 minutes of that. This is all I can persuade Brando to do." Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy that they let him get away with that. Now, during Madonna's MDNA tour, she had a lot of demands that were honestly just insane. She requested 20 phone lines in her dressing room so she could keep in touch with her loved ones no matter what. She was traveling with a 200-strong entourage, including 30 bodyguards, personal chefs, a yoga instructor, and an acupuncturist on the sold-out dates. She also had a portable dry cleaner and had asked for her space to be decorated with lilies and roses, with their stems trimmed to exactly 6 inches, plus the area must be draped in a special fabric. Now her team had also removed the furniture from rooms and filled them with the singer's own property to give it a homely feel. A source told the Daily Star, "Madonna has probably the longest list of requirements of any of the world's music stars. She expects things to be just right or it puts her off her stage show." And finally, this next point is crazy but also hilarious, as it has to do with Jennifer Lawrence. While filming Mother, Jen requested her own personal Kardashian tent that had a computer playing Keeping Up with Kardashians. She explained why she needed the tent and what it was like. She said, "I had to do this one scene and I hadn't gone that dark before. I'd never done something that horrifying. I started getting scared a couple days before, so I was like, I need a tent to keep away from all the extras because I didn't know what I would do. It was just a computer that was playing the Kardashians and had headshots, and it also had notes to me from them that I had written." I mean, hey, whatever helps you. And Jen actually ended up becoming friends with the Kardashians afterwards, which is pretty cool.
Now, although Kourtney may seem like one of the more rational Kardashians, this story from her former nanny is a bit nuts. A nanny who had previously worked for the reality show star exposed Kourtney and her ridiculous requests. While speaking with Star Magazine, the ex-nanny revealed that Kourtney demanded to never be called by her first name. Instead, she preferred to be called Madam, not Ma'am, but Madam. In the interview, she says, "She asked me to call her Madam at all times. I once slipped up and called her Kourtney and she threw a hissy fit. I never made that mistake again." Eesh. Coming number 9, Lady Gaga. Back in 2013, Lady Gaga's former assistant Jennifer O'Neill went after the singer, claiming that she was taking her to court for unpaid overtime wages. Within the court documents, Jennifer said that she had to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, adding that she even had to frequently sleep in the same bed as Gaga because she never had her own hotel room while they were on tour together. Plus, it was faster if Lady Gaga needed anything in the night. According to Gaga, though, she claimed that Jennifer was suing her for money that she didn't earn. Jennifer was asking for nearly $400,000 in overtime pay and further damages after having to be at the singer's beck and call from 2009 to 2011. Her annual salary for this job was $75K, and in the deposition, Lady Gaga said that she didn't deserve a penny more. Although something must have happened because later court filings say that they had come to a settlement outside of court. In a break, Christian Bale. Harrison Chung worked as Christian Bale's personal assistant for over a decade and even wrote a book called Christian Bale: The Inside Story of the Darkest Batman. And the stories he tells about the star in this book are absolutely insane. In one portion exposing Bale, he says, "If Christian was away filming on location, I would take care of his 5 pets, along with stray possums in the backyard as a special request. I would do anything from sniffing Christian's armpits for BO right before he hit the red carpet to making emergency sock runs if Christian was all out of clean ones. Sometimes duties were as exciting as traveling to film festivals and as dull as watching Christian surf in case something needed to be done on shore." I just can't get over the fact that he actually hired someone to sniff his armpits. Harrison would later tell the Daily Mail that it took 5 years of therapy to get past the post-traumatic stress he had from working with Bale.